Instead, we've got a coach of the 1-0 West Rusk Raiders. We go out east and talk to head coach John Frazier. Coach, how are you?
Doing great, guys. How about y'all?
We are doing excellent. Congratulations, first and foremost, on your hot start. I mean, look, one game down, one game in the win column. Can't ask for a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, that's the goal. Especially first game of the year, be 1-0, and fortunately for us, we were able to come out on top.
You guys beat Winnsboro 33-0 in your opener. Were you? It seemed like, boy, almost everything clicked. Were you? You've been at West Rusk for over a decade now. Is this as ready for Week 1 as you've seen a team? Because from the outside looking in, it looks like you guys were hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, it actually is. And last year we graduated 5 seniors. One of those guys was a kicker, and so out there on the field, offensively and defensively speaking, we were really going to play with 4 guys. So we knew this was coming. We knew going into the year we were going to be very experienced. And, of course, 2 a days, day one, matter of fact, I wouldn't say we looked great, but we probably looked better than we ever had as far as day one of 2 a days. So, when you enter it with a big experienced group like that, you're able to kind of move on to the next level of what you're teaching them. It helps us early.
And I want to ask you now about kind of the odd situation where you guys have a week 2 bye. You guys are taking the week off this week. How do you handle that kind of start and stop to a season and keep your kids focused for what you hope to be a long, long season?
Yeah, it is what it is. All Saints, we've known this since last, I think it was April or May, and they wasn't just able to carry the program no more. So we looked around as best we could to find some games and couldn't find them. And we just said we would make sure we concentrate on us. And I told the kids that Monday morning that our competition's us this week, and let's focus on ourselves and clean up some things. Trust me, we didn't play perfect Friday night, but let's clean some things up this week, and that's what we've done so far.
We're talking with John Frazier, the head coach of the West Rusk Raiders here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TFToday. Coach, you guys bring back a fair amount of both your offense and your defense from last year, guys who got some significant playing time. Has that kind of changed the expectations around there? You guys make the playoffs. You guys bring back 16 starters from a playoff team. Has that kind of changed the expectations for what you guys hope to achieve in 2017?
Oh, absolutely. Not only we return a lot of experience, we have a lot of skilled kids, and then probably the most important thing is we got a good group that really wants to win it all and make a good run here, and they showed that throughout the spring and the summer workouts and our 7-on-7s, and yeah, absolutely. I think they knew that as soon as the season was over last year, especially senior night, when you realize there ain't too many seniors walking down that track senior night with their parents. So yeah, it's the expectations definitely rise. There isn't too many excuses for too many rookie mistakes because most of them's done it already. So not a whole lot of leeway with young guys because they played under the Friday night lights. So.
You mentioned the skill position guys. One of the guys that we know we've had our eye on this year is Jalen Garland, kid who's 5'9", 175 pounds. I know he started as a freshman, the offensive newcomer of the year last year. Had a great game in his opener, 180 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. As the guy who gets to see him every day in practice, what can you tell us about this young man?
Well, I'm not sure if you know or not. I think he played the 8th game of the year last year. He had about 1,400 yards going into that game against Legion Fields, and it was about the 7th play of the game he blew his ACL. So he's had a hard winter, tough spring. Not that he wants to be involved, wants to play, and just rehabbing that knee and getting that knee in shape. And he's still not full speed yet, but his 90% is still pretty good. But he's just done a great job. He still has his moves. It's just his breakaway seat's still in there yet.
Yeah, I would say he's probably 90% is pretty good. He averaged 10 yards a carry. That's pretty solid. I would say that I imagine you guys are excited to get him whenever he's back up to 100%.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, more important than that, he's just such a humble kid, great kid. He's a student of the game. He asked a million questions during practice or during video, and He wants to be great. He wants his team to win, and he backs that up in practices in the weight room and getting his knee in shape, which is not an easy thing to do. And just very, very proud and to get to coach him.
Meanwhile, defensively, you guys really dominated Winnsboro. I believe you guys had 18 tackles for loss, and Winnsboro finished with negative 17 yards rushing. I know those are mean stats, but I have a hard time imagining you will apologize for them. One of the guys who really led the way and figures to lead the way is Tyree Wilson, your big defensive end, and I mean big, 6'5", 225. What can you tell us about this young man?
Well, he's really just started getting as one of our coaches calls it, his man muscles underneath him last spring. He's always had the height the last couple of years. You've seen him grow, and he's got tremendous length. But the muscles started coming around where he could get control of his big, tall, long body, and last spring. And so, yeah, he definitely stands out on the field, especially at our level. And he got a lot of double teams the other night. He was getting frustrated, but like I told him in that first quarter, it's going to happen a lot this year. You just got to stay patient with it. He's an unbelievable leader for not just our defense, but for our team. And a lot of times, it's going to go how he goes. So.
I want to ask you about how you're handling this bye week. You mentioned that it's kind of maybe an unwanted bye week. You'd like to be out there playing. What changes to the schedule do you make with such an odd scheduling quirk?
We haven't done anything different. The only thing probably we're going to do different is we're going to go out and practice this afternoon before practice, since we're missing a game tomorrow night as far as conditioning goes. We are going to go out this afternoon and have a good full practice. But as far as our athletic periods and things of that nature, no, we're doing what we normally do, try to keep it as routine as possible.
We're talking with John Frazier, the head coach of the West Rusk Raiders here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. And Coach, I want to ask you about your district. District 9 out there is it's a bear. You guys are going to get tested week in and week out. Between Elysian Fields and ARP, and of course Wascom, who has a state championship. Beckville is going to be in the mix as well. When you take a look at your district up and down, from your perspective, what do you see?
Well, it's always been that way in this district. They call the district of doom. I think it was the Kilgore, Gilmer, and Carthage, which is pretty salty. But this district here has been like this for at least the last 12, 13, 14 years. You had ARP last year make it to fifth round, like you said, Wascom doing what they did on their run, and of course Elysian Fields and others, Troop as well. Mm-hmm. It's just a battle year, week in and week out, and you cannot take it lightly. At all, because not only is there great athletes in this district, there's a great coaching staffs in this district. So it's one of those, you take it 1 week at a time, and you hope and pray you come out injury free, because there's a lot of physical teams in this district. And then if you're fortunate enough to make it out of it, you gotta we head south in our region with Crockett and Newton, Gordon, Camden, and I think like ARP last year, if you can make it out of that fourth round by some chance, you hope just to be healthy and not so beat up. Because it's an unbelievable region, probably I think one of the toughest regions in the state of Texas, all classifications. So, the key is probably whether it is or isn't, you take it 1 week at a time.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a grind week in and week out, and it doesn't get any easier, as you mentioned. Once you get to the playoffs, it's quite difficult there in 3A Division II as well. And Coach, I want to ask you one last question before we let you go. You've been there for 11 years now. This is a program that you've helped to nurture and to build along this time. How have you seen this program change, maybe since you first arrived? It's more than the program. I think it's the big picture of the whole school district. The last 10 years has changed. Just the expectations, not only in the sports arena, but as far as the academics and the pride in this school is probably the biggest thing I've seen. And that's looking back at it, it's something I'm very proud to be a part of. But there's so many instrumental parts in that, not just the athletic program or the AD head football coach. From the principals to our superintendents to our school boards,
it's been a good fun ride the last 10 years.
And they hope the ride continues undefeated as long as they can go. He is John Frazier, the head coach of the West Rusk Raiders. Coach, appreciate your time. Congratulations on your great Week 1 win, and best of luck the rest of the way.
I sure appreciate you guys. Thank y'all.